let's do a timing belt. We're just about in the shade here, so it's almost time to get started. I haven't done a Kia before, so this will be new to me. Probably going to learn a few things. Now, when I first looked at it, I wanted to find out if it was an interference motor. And so I looked at the side and I said, oh, okay, one gear, single overhead cam. So I Googled it up, and I don't know, the list must have been for like another vehicle, because it was just a list of Kia's motors and 1.6, either single overhead cam or dual overhead cam. And it said single overhead cam, non-interference. Perfect, I don't gotta worry about nothing. Let's just, slap a new belt on it. Pop the valve cover, and it's got two cams. And that's why when I was on the like AutoZone website, for example, I was looking for a timing belt to see what the pricing was. It said dual overhead cam options only. I was like, well, what the heck is going on here? I have a single overhead cam. So that's when I popped the valve cover and saw that. It's chain driven off the other end internally, hidden under the valve cover. So what I did was, I have an inspection camera. There's a whole mess of wiring. Sorry, I got a couple things going on at the moment. But I got my inspection camera and I stuck that down the spark plug holes right down there, and luckily there was no debris, no chunks that I could see. So everything seems to roll over smooth. I checked to see that all the caps came all the way up and went all the way down. Just rotated the cam a few times, rotated the crank a few times. Nothing ran into each other. So the next cheapest step, really. I mean, we could take apart the whole head, but we're not trying to do all that. The next step would be really just to slap a belt back on it and see if each cylinder has good compression. And then if it's got compression, we're gonna fire it up and run. I mean, if there's damage, then I'm not causing any more damage. It'll run like crap, we'll cut it back off, and then we'll decide what to do from there. So I've got the motor supported with a jack and a block of wood, because the first thing I need to do is remove this motor mount, so that'll hold the motor up and keep it from falling, so I can get the new timing belt in there. But first, as you can see, I've already got the surface cleaned off for the valve cover. I've got some ultra gray in that plug here, and that one I didn't take out because it wasn't leaking, so I just threw a couple dabs of ultra gray on it. Got some ultra gray in the corners of these guys. It's kind of a common rule. And then new tube seals will pop into place here, and we can slap this guy back together. Now we can bolt down the wiring harness. And hook up the two vacuum hoses. Just get some pliers and put those guys back in place, and attempt to tighten that up. I got the spark plugs cleaned up. We're going to reuse the old ones. Wire brush that one and that in there. And actually, you're probably going to want to wait until you throw these guys in before you go and bolt this wiring harness down. And then I clean these guys out with brake clean as the other ones. Now we can bolt them in. Now with the valve cover back on, we can move on to the timing cover. Start by removing this motor mount. Remember, I've got the engine supported. Then we can remove the belts, starting with the alternator. Just loosen this pinch bolt. Then we can do the tensioner bolt. Kind of hard to see, guys, sorry. So there is no nut on the back side of that alternator pivot bolt. I went down here to like, oh yeah, there's probably a bolt I gotta loosen up down here. And that was actually hanging out of here, see that? Look at that. Power steering's next. Looks like there's a bolt right here. Maybe. Okay. That's a little tight in there. Looks like if you turn this, you could actually get to it with a socket. Oh well. And loosen this big old guy here. What size is that? Oh, look, that's a 12 also. There's a combination of serpentine belt and V-belts. So the belt ended up, it's stuck between the alternator and the pulley. I'd have to back the alternator all the way back out. Or I could just break the bolts loose on this water pump pulley and take it out then. And to get to the last belt, you got to loosen up this tensioner right there. You're going to loosen up that pivot bolt, and then right there is your tensioner bolt. And those are probably both 13s. And then that'll back off of that belt, and we should be able to pull it out. Oh, I was wrong. They're 12s. The crankshaft is a 20 deuce. I'm gonna try to impact her. There, timing cover's out. That's what it looks like. So now we're gonna take off this tensioner here, and I think I'm just gonna undo this bolt first, and then undo this bolt and let it, you know, fling all over the place. Getting it back on will be another story, but we'll see. Perfect. Now we've got to get this idler pulley off. And that's a 15. And that's normal thread too. Okay, good. So our first new part's going to go back on, and that's that idler pulley. Just got to swap over this spacer, and we'll bolt it back in. FYI, that's not a spacer. And these sound like skateboard wheels. So they're probably original. That's why it's always a good idea to get the component kit as well. Oh yeah, this guy was toast. It spins way too free. Whoa, sounds like a skateboard wheel. We got the new, and then this will go like that. The top spring up against this arm. Later we'll pry this bottom arm into its place. So we're not going to put the spring on just yet. Happy 4th of July, by the way. It's like July 7th now. But people are still lighting off fireworks. So I'm going to start up here at the top. And I don't know if I can get the camera in there to see. But in that hole, I'm going to flip you upside down. See that red dot? Bam. If we come over here, you can see that dot. But that's your timing mark. Somewhere in there. So we got the cam lined up. We got a crank mark. A little dot up on the high right with a nub on the casting. So you can see a little silver point I rubbed clean. So that might be off a hair. And there's actually a notch too. So yeah, I might have to rotate that just a smidge. But I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, just a smidge, we'll see. So we got to keep that side, the right side of the belt, tight up against the cam as we install it without moving the timing marks. We're going to start on the top here. And there's no timing marks on the belt, so I'm just going to put it in place. And you know what I just realized? The motor mount doesn't have to come out. Did the motor mount not have to come out? I don't think the motor mount had to come out, guys. For some reason I was thinking it went on this side of it and you had to get it through there. So, I don't know. Maybe it's still easier. It was only a couple bolts. So it wasn't hard to get off. And there was, you know, some of you might want to drop it lower to make it easier, which I still might drop it a little bit lower to make it easier to do the tensioner, but we'll see. Now let's get the bottom half on. So while keeping it tight, hopefully we can find a home. And we were, is that gonna be it there? So that's just the first stab. Crank pulley moved a little bit, I think, just from the tension on the, I can't seem to turn it back. It's just like a half a tooth, but if that side of the belt's tight, which it appears to be, and my timing mark on top is on, I think that's the ticket. So when I put tension on this side, it will rotate that back into position, I'm hoping. Now we need to pry that spring into place. Okay, so this might be harder than I thought, but okay, so I think I got it. Hopefully, we'll see. But with the belt off, you can just get the tensioner and the spring loaded into place. And with a pry bar up there, you should be able to Slide in that bolt. I think I got it. Yeah. So now we just got to try to pull it back all the way, reposition the pry bar. Alright, so the tensioner all the way back. The belt can still slide on, so apparently that's how you do it. You load the tensioner up first and then lock it in the open position. The belt will still slide on. Then, timing marks are still in place. Belt's still tight. I'm gonna loosen that. And let the tensioner do its thing. Oh. Now, I'm gonna get a pry bar and just put a little, like, finger on it. Yeah, just a finger on it. We're gonna tighten her up there. Now, we want to rotate the engine, make sure everything still stays lined up. So right now everything looks good, looks right on. Timing marks are perfect. Let's rotate it and make sure it stays that way. Alright, here we go. Okay. Let's look for a timing marks. Here comes one. Feels like a compression stroke. Let's check this top one. I need some light. Okay, yeah, it's off still. Right there. Right there. Touch more, baby. Right there. Check the top. We're good. Straight up and down. And we got no light anymore. But yeah, it's there. I'm happy. It's timed. Let's put the gears back on. So I did a quick compression test. I got everything back together over there. And That's about where all of them are at. The first one was 140, 135, 130, I think it was 130, and then we're back at 135, so 136-ish, but we're good. All right, I've got everything buttoned up. I've got the belts on and the cover on, tires on. Just about to start it up. Let's cross our fingers. Okay, what did we forget? Okay, right there. I forgot to bolt that ground wire down. Let's see if that makes a difference. I remember I knocked that bolt and it disappeared down into the fender. So we'll never see that one again. But I think I got another one. Okay, got one back in there. Let's see if that makes the difference. Hit her bottle on her teeth. Alright. Ready? I leave the key in it? Heck no, I didn't leave the key in it. Now you lost the key. Okay, we're good. Alright, cross your fingers. Well, that's weird. Let's see if that makes a difference. Bless you.
Thank you.
I don't know. Okay, so I've been battling with this Kia, trying to get it to start, and I've tested the crank sensor. This is the old one, and yeah, that's the new one. I tested the old one with the ohm meter, the resistance, and this was like 0.9, and the brand new one was 1.0, so they weren't far off. And I put the new one in anyway just to see if anything would happen, and it still didn't start. So what I got next is the camshaft sensor, that part number right there. And then instead of just testing it, I just want to plug it in and see if it works. Okay, old cam sensor out, new cam sensor in. Let's see if it starts. And I did leave the new crank sensor in too, just for whatever. Let's please start, please start. And it's not starting. Whoa. Well, there it is. So turns out after putting a new cam sensor in, it didn't fix it. I went through here And I already tested the injector relay in the middle there. I think that's the middle one. Yeah. But I didn't check anything else. I didn't think it would apply. But everything, even though everything tested good, I didn't pull them all out. This time I went through and wiggled all the fuses in their homes. And like wiggled all these around. And those ones. And even the AC. I wiggled every fuse and it started right up. I put the old cam sensor in, the old crank sensor back in, and it fired up still. So it's just from sitting for a while. One of those got a little bit of corrosion and it's keeping it from firing up, keeping the spark away. Now, as you can hear, sounds like there's a little bit of a tick. That's probably... That could be due to damage. I don't know if it ticked before, but probably not. That could be due to damage due to losing the belt, because this is an interference motor. It's not damaged enough because it still has compression. And it's running. It actually sounds pretty smooth aside from the tick. But, so I don't know. I'll just talk with my buddy Andrew and see what he wants to do, because I actually already bought a new car, and I gotta get the air tube back on. He already bought like this little Honda Civic to cruise around, and he was thinking, you know, he'd let his son drive this one because he's about getting to the age too, like my son. But I don't know, he's gonna have to drive it around and see how it holds up, if the tick gets worse, if it blows up. Because, I mean, as of right now, it sounds like the head's just gonna have to come off and be rebuilt with some good valves, you know. And I don't know if that car's worth it. It depends on Andrew, if he thinks it's worth it for him, you know, to keep it for his son or what. But it's a success, kinda. Anyways, in the end, my job doing the timing belt, it's running, it's good, it's back up and going. He can take it for as long as he wants, as long as he dares. But I think that's going to do it for now, guys. So thank you for hanging in there. If you like this or you got any questions, hit me up. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification button for me. Thanks, guys. See you later.